So, gosh, I did not expect to be on camera today. I have this whole like head thing going on. um, and I don't know, it was just that I was starting to feel really stressed out. The more I sat at my computer, I started feeling sort of anxiety building up in my chest. And so before it got worse, I turned off everything and I started to make dinner, and now I'm watching this show. But while I'm watching it, I'm literally thinking, and I was actually talking to a friend about this as well, uh, and we both started to meditate, and you know, and we meditate for 5 minutes a day, and then we both journal. And it's funny because I just started it, and so did he, and it got me thinking of all the ways that you could meditate without really having to take an entire day away. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you don't really have the time, and that's something that I really want to get comfortable with, because I don't always have the time, and that's why I keep finding myself in these burnouts and these stress, full days and everything. And so what I was telling him, and pretty much what I needed to hear myself, was that meditation is not just sitting in silence. It's, it's letting the thoughts that keep going in, letting them go and ignoring them for a while, and just letting them sit on their own plane of existence while you take a moment aside to focus on something else that pretty much erases your mind entirely from any stress. And what I do is not just sitting in silence. I will pull out my journal or pull out a notebook or pull out some sort of piece of paper, and I'll either draw, doodle, or I will write. And just because I'm drawing doesn't mean I'm focused on what I'm drawing. And just because I'm writing doesn't mean I'm even reading what I'm writing. I'm just writing, letting my hand sort of write whatever it wants to write. And if you were to look at my journals, what you will know when I'm essentially mind dumping, because you'll have these words that are sort of tied together, because I write in cursive, and so I won't space it out. It's almost like I don't even think about all of that. I'm just getting the words that keep popping up in my head and writing them down, I guess. But it's because I'm not focused on the things that I'm actually writing, these words that I'm actually writing. I'm focused on the sound of the pen on the paper, and I'm focused on the ink just dragging across and creating shapes. And that's the thing that I'm really focused on, and that's why I like to write. It isn't because I'm a good writer, or because I have all of these creative ideas and I just need to write them down. It's literally because I crave that moment with myself, that moment with the pen and the paper. And that is so, interesting. Nobody really puts it in those words, I feel like. And so if you find yourself feeling like, oh, meditation, I can't really do it, maybe you're already doing it and you don't even know. Maybe you do sit with yourself and do these things for whatever reason, and it just feels nice to you. Or like another example of that, it would be to, if you go outside and you have nature, or even not even, you don't even need the nature. If you live in an apartment or you live in a city or whatever, you don't even need it. It's sort of like you just go outside and listen. And what do you hear? If you do live in nature, maybe you hear one bird, and then you hear another bird, and then maybe they're talking to each other, and maybe you hear a bird from over this side and then a bird over here, and where are those coming from? And sort of like you're following the sounds. You're picking up each individual thing and the way that they're tweeting, and then maybe you'll sort of you'll hear even farther than that, and you'll start to focus on those, and that is meditation. And you're just focused on anything but what's going on in your actual mind. And it just happens, the more that you essentially do it and try, the 5 minutes a day is to build a habit. And the more that you do that, the easier it's going to get. And all of a sudden you'll find yourself doing it naturally, and you'll just sit and listen the way that I am now. And it isn't easy at first. Sometimes you're sitting there thinking like, okay, what am I really doing? And I don't really know how to split these sounds up. But eventually you'll get it. All of a sudden, it's like, bam, no time at all, you know? And it'll feel like, how didn't I get this before? And same thing with the pen on the paper. You know, the more that you get comfortable with not having to control what's on the paper, the more that you'll fall into that meditation, and you'll fall into that sort of rhythm, because it's essentially like the rhythm of writing. And you'll cross your T's and dot your I's, and you know, and sort of make it an art form in itself, and it just happens naturally. And there are a bunch of other versions of this when you're painting, or when you're dancing, or if you are literally just stretching or something. Like, it's focusing on the actual action itself, not the results it's going to give you later, because that's thinking in the future. You're not in your present self at that moment. You know what I mean? And that's what I really wanted to tell you guys, because I was talking to this guy, and I was, and you know, it's sort of like, I know where you're coming from, you know, I've been there, and I am still there. It's not, you know, something that I've mastered at all, but I definitely, you know, I've found something that's working for me. And so you just got to find that thing that's working for you, and test other things out. You know, if you're not used to drawing, maybe try it, and maybe you'll find that it's meditative and calming. And you know, it's meditation has been proven to lower your anxiety and lower your depression, and make people more inspired and at least calm within themselves. Since I've started meditating, even though it hasn't been consistent for this amount of time, I started meditating about a year ago, and taking it seriously, and taking it as an action that I am neglecting. You know, it's something that it's in my head. And because when I was in California, I was meditating every day for at least 30 minutes naturally. All of a sudden, I found that craving of like, I really just want to sit and meditate. And it was almost like I was exploring an entire other world, because I was exploring nothingness. And it was just quiet and peaceful, and nothing existed. And I just sat, and I just was able to really get to dive deep into this side of my life. And then I started taking more trips, going back to Europe, and then I just fell out of it. It just happened so quickly, and so now I'm trying to get back into that, and it's peaceful. Sometimes I don't even want to open my eyes by the time that like I realize, oh man, it's been 5 minutes, time to open up, and I don't want to, and that's a really good sign. So anyway, that's it. I just really wanted to share that with you guys, and yeah, I just so I hope that your day has been stress-free, and if these meditation tips really help you, then comment them down below and tell me what works for you, because maybe that'll help me as well. You know, share your knowledge, please. And we can sort of, and if my tips work for you as well, like, let me know that, because at least I know that I'm helping somebody other than myself. That's my real goal, you know. Anyway, so I hope that you all are well and staying safe and healthy, and I will see you guys in my next video.